A lantern in the storm. The wind howls outside my room's window, rattling the panes as if demanding answers from the quiet house within. I sit at the kitchen table, a single lantern casting a gentle glow on the weathered wood, flickering steadily despite the chaos outside. At 67, I've weathered many storms, some in the skies, others in my heart. But tonight, the unease feels different, as if life itself is whispering a question I haven't yet answered. I think of my late friend Clara, who faced her final years with a smile that seemed to know something I didn't. And I wonder, what if the gales that shake us don't come to break us but to guide us? In the teachings of Buddhism, I'm beginning to find a truth like a lantern of its own, that every loss, every crisis, every moment when the world seems to collapse may hold a hidden purpose, shaping us toward a wisdom we cannot yet see. Life has a way of leading us down paths we didn't choose, doesn't it? In my younger days, I fought every detour. When my job at the community center vanished after 20 years, or when my son moved across the country, leaving the house too quiet, I'd ask, why me? As if the universe owed me an explanation. But the Dharma offers a different lens. Nothing is random. Every experience, from the sting of rejection to the ache of sitting at an empty dinner table, is a thread in a larger tapestry, woven to teach us, to soften our edges, to bring us closer to who we truly are. For those of us older, living in places like the United States, where time seems to rush toward endings, retirement, goodies, unfamiliar lines in the mirror, this idea is a lifeline. What if the challenges we face in our later years aren't punishments, but invitations to grow? Buddhism teaches that life's unpredictability isn't a flaw, but a design. When I recall the summer my garden failed, the tomato plants wilting despite my care, I was furious at first, another plan gone wrong. Yet that failure nudged me to sit still, to listen to the crickets instead of toiling, to find joy in simply being. That was a lesson, wasn't it? Our struggles, whether it's the fear of health keeping us awake at night, or the loneliness creeping in as friends drift away, aren't here to diminish us. They are teachers in disguise, urging us not to ask, why is this happening? But what can this teach me? For those of us in the autumn of life, this shift in perspective is a quiet revolution. It's a chance to see our losses, careers left behind, loved ones we miss, as stepping stones, not obstacles, toward a deeper truth. This idea resonates because it speaks to our shared fears and hopes. At our age, we've seen enough to know control is fleeting. Schedules shift, bodies change, plans dissolve. Yet there's hope in trusting that these moments mean something. I think of my neighbor Tamoingfa, who at 72 found new purpose volunteering at the library. What seemed like an ending became a beginning. A reminder that life's twists often clear the way for something new. The Dharma invites us to embrace this flow, to stop resisting the winds of change and instead let them carry us. The Buddha taught that each challenge is a chance to uncover resilience we didn't know we had, to find joy in small moments, a cup of tea, a kind word, that shine brighter against life's storms. As I sit here, the lantern still burning, I feel courage rise eating. If every step, even the painful ones, is part of a larger design, then maybe I'm not lost in the gale, but exactly where I'm meant to be. The hidden purpose of suffering, the storm outside has calmed, but another kind of chaos lingers in my mind. Memories of last winter, when a diagnosis came like a thunderbolt, upending my sense of certainty. Sitting in the doctor's office, the sterile walls closing in, I wanted nothing more than to rewind time, to escape the fear gripping my chest. I wondered why life had to hurt so much. Yet as I delved deeper into the Dharma, I learned that suffering, whether it's the pain of illness, the grief of losing a friend, or the weight of years piling up, isn't here to punish us. In Buddhism, pain is a teacher, harsh but bearing wisdom. It's not the enemy we imagine, but a guide. inviting us to uncover truths we might otherwise miss. For so many of us in our later years, suffering feels like an old acquaintance, familiar but never welcome. Maybe it's the ache in our joints, slowing our steps, or the quiet moments that make us miss the bustle of a life once filled with work and family. I think of my friend Ellen, who faced the sorrow of her daughter's estrangement. She'd cry over coffee, asking why life had to be so cruel. But Buddhism offers a radical shift. What if pain isn't a curse but an alchemist? The Buddha taught that suffering is universal. No one escapes loss or disappointment, but how we meet it shapes who we are. Like fire refining gold, our hardships burn away what's fleeting, revealing the core of our strength and clarity. For those of us staring down the road of aging, this idea is like a hand extended in the dark, promising that even our heaviest moments hold meaning. I've started to see this in my own life, though it took time. That diagnosis last winter forced me to slow down, trading my endless to-do lists for mornings spent watching the sunrise. In those quiet hours, I found a peace I hadn't known in busier days, a gift hidden in the fear. The Dharma teaches that resisting pain only tightens its grip. When we fight it, wishing things were as they were, we exhaust ourselves. But when we pause, breathe, and ask, "What is this teaching me?" we open a door to transformation. There's a Buddhist story I love about a disciple who complained to his master that life was unfair, piling hardship upon hardship. The master told him to take a handful of salt, drop it into a small glass of water, and drink. The disciple took a sip, his face contorting as the salt overwhelmed his tongue, as if the world's unfairness dissolved there. The master smiled, led him to a vast lake where sunlight danced on the waves, and said, "Now throw the salt in here and drink." The disciple did, and as he tasted the water, it was clear and sweet, untouched by the salt. The master looked at him, eyes gentle yet profound, and said, "Suffering is the salt, my child. It doesn't change, but your heart is the glass or the lake. The flavor of your life depends on how you open yourself to hold it." That story stays with me, especially now, when life's challenges can feel overwhelming. For those of us aging, losses stack up. Friends move on. Bodies falter. The world changes faster than we can keep up. It's easy to let pain fill every corner of our hearts, like salt in a small glass. But what if we widen our view? When I lost my job years ago, I thought it was the end of my purpose. Yet that emptiness led me to volunteer at a community garden, where I found joy in muddy hands and new friendships. Ellen began writing letters to her daughter, not expecting replies, but finding healing in the act. The Dharma teaches that within every wound lies a seed of wisdom, patience, compassion, resilience, waiting for us to nurture it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "How can this shape me?" That question has become my compass, guiding me through moments when life feels too heavy. This isn't about pretending pain doesn't hurt. It's about trusting it has a purpose, even if we can't see it. For those of us in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, suffering can feel like it defines us. Another doctor's visit, another goodbye. But Buddhism reminds us it doesn't have to. I think of my neighbor Sam, who, after losing his wife, began teaching woodworking to kids at the community center. His grief didn't vanish, but it became a bridge to others, a way to share his light. Our challenges, whether physical, emotional, or existential, are invitations to grow. They ask us to examine what needs healing, perhaps past regrets, perhaps fears of what's to come, and to build something new from the ashes. As I sit here, the lantern from earlier still dim, I feel a quiet resolve. Suffering may visit, but it's not my master. It's my teacher, showing me a life richer than I could have planned. No chaos, no transformation. The lantern's light has faded now, replaced by the soft glow of dawn, creeping through my window. painting the room in hues of possibility. But as I sip my morning tea, a memory surges back of the year my life seemed to unravel, when my husband's sudden retirement upended our routines. The house felt too big, our conversations too small, and I clung to the comfort of what was, fearing the unknown. I wanted order, predictability, things as they'd been. Yet the Dharma showed me a startling truth. Without chaos, there's no transformation. In Buddhism, the moments that shake us, those jarring, disorienting disruptions, aren't accidents, but awakenings, pushing us to shed old skins and step into who we're meant to be. For those of us in our later years, comfort can feel like a sanctuary. After decades of raising families, building careers, or caring for others, we crave the familiar, a favorite armchair, a predictable schedule, the same faces at the senior center. I once thought stability meant I'd finally made it, that life would reward me with ease. But the Buddha's wisdom flips this. Comfort keeps us still, while chaos sets us free. When my husband's retirement threw us into uncertainty, I resisted at first, grumbling about losing our old rhythm. Yet that upheaval forced us to talk, really talk, about dreams we'd shelved, like traveling to see the Grand Canyon or volunteering together. What felt like a fracture became a doorway. And now I wonder, how many of us miss such doorways because we fear the mess of change? Buddhism teaches that life uses adversity like a sculptor's chisel, carving away what no longer serves us. Think of a seed buried in dark soil. It must crack open, push through dirt to reach the sun. Or a butterfly, struggling to escape its cocoon, its wings growing strong only through resistance. I learned this the hard way, when my book club, a decades-long haven, dissolved as friends moved away. I mourned those evenings of laughter and debate, feeling lost without them. But that loss nudged me toward a writing group at the library, where I not only found new voices, but also the courage to share my own stories I'd kept hidden for years. For older adults, life's case often comes uninvited. An empty nest, a downsized home, a world that feels too fast. Yet these disruptions, painful as they are invitations to grow, to discover strengths we didn't know we carried. There's a Buddhist story that captures this beautifully. A disciple, weary of life's hardships, asked his master why things were so difficult. The master led him to a forest where a butterfly strained inside its cocoon. Moved by pity, the disciple cut it open to free the creature, only to watch it emerge with weak, useless wings. The struggle gave it strength, the master explained. I think of that butterfly when I recall my friend Margaret, who at 69 faced an empty nest after her last child left home. She felt purposeless, adrift in the quiet. But that void pushed her to start painting, filling her walls and her heart with colors she'd never explored before. Our challenges, Buddhism reminds us, aren't here to break us, but to build us. Patient in waiting, resilient in falling, compassionate in understanding others' pain. Now, as I watch the dawn unfold, I see chaos differently. For those of us in life's autumn, the disruptions we face, whether health fears, shifting relationships, or uncertainty about what's next, aren't endings but beginnings. They ask us to let go of who we were, to embrace who we can become. I've learned to ask not, why is this happening, but what is this creating? That question turned my husband's retirement into a season of rediscovery. My book club's end into a spark of creativity. For every reader feeling unsteady, maybe you're facing a transition, a loss, or simply the weight of time. Know this: chaos isn't your enemy. It's your teacher, urging you to stretch, adapt, and bloom. The Dharma promises that after every storm, you emerge stronger, wiser, ready to meet the light. The Dharma, life's invisible order. The dawn has fully broken now, and I step outside to feel the cool air, watching leaves drift lazily from the old oak in my yard. Each one falls without resistance, landing exactly where it's meant to, and I can't help but smile at the quiet grace of it all. Not long ago, I saw only loss in those bare branches, another season gone, another reminder of time's passage. But the Dharma has opened my eyes to something profound. Nothing happens by chance. Buddhism teaches that life moves to an invisible rhythm, a natural law called Dharma, where every moment, every challenge, every joy arrives precisely when it's needed. At 70, I'm learning to trust this order, to see that even when life feels like a mess, there's a purpose threading it all together. For those of us in our later years, it's easy to feel disheartened when plans unravel. I think of the spring I planned the big family reunion, only for it to be canceled when my sister fell ill. I was furious at first. Why couldn't life cooperate? We spend so much time wrestling with what should be. The health we expected, the gatherings we looked forward to, the years we thought we'd have. But the Dharma whispers a different truth. There are no mistakes. Like a river flowing around rocks or seasons shifting without haste, life has its own timing. I recall my old friend Henry, who was utterly broken at 68. When his antique shop closed, he thought his story was over. But months later, he was teaching history classes at a community college, his eyes alight with a passion I'd never seen. What seemed like failure was the Dharma at work, nudging him toward a path he hadn't seen. Buddhism invites us to release resistance and flow with this current. There's a story I cherish about a man caught in a storm at sea, fighting the waves until exhaustion forced him to float. Only then did the current carry him to shore. That's the Dharma. Not battling life's tides, but trusting they'll lead us where we need to go. I learned this when my sister's illness, painful as it was, brought us closer than we'd been in years. Late-night calls turned into honest conversations, healing old wounds I thought were permanent. For older adults, life's disruptions, a delayed dream, a sudden loss, an unexpected loneliness, can feel like proof we've veered off course. But what if they're signposts? The Dharma says that when something leaves us, it makes room for growth. When we're challenged, we're being prepared. When we wait, it's because the moment isn't ripe. This trust isn't easy, especially when the world seems to prize speed and certainty. In our 60s and beyond, we face pressure to have it all figured out. Retirement plans, legacies, answers. Yet the Dharma reminds us, we can't rush a flower to bloom or force the sun to rise early. I recall a winter when I felt stuck, waiting for clarity about what to do next after a volunteering gig ended. I fretted, anxious for direction, until I started daily walks in the park, noticing how bare trees stood patiently, knowing spring would come. That patience led me to a memoir writing group, where I found purpose in sharing my life's lessons. For every reader feeling lost, maybe you're grappling with an empty home or an unresolved choice, the Dharma offers peace. Everything happens in its time, and even detours are part of your path. Standing here as the leaves settle, I feel lighter. The Dharma doesn't promise a life without pain, but it assures us every twist has meaning. For those of us navigating the uncertainties of aging, new limits, changing roles, quiet hopes, trusting this invisible order is like finding solid ground. My sister's recovery, Henry's teaching, my own rediscovery. They're not coincidences but gifts of life's perfect timing. Buddhism calls us to listen to our inner voice, to move with change rather than against it. In doing so, we stop seeing obstacles as punishments and start seeing them as teachers, guiding us toward who we're meant to be. Each falling leaf, each changing season, reminds me, I'm not adrift. I'm exactly where the Dharma intends, walking my own path. The illusion of control, the leaves have settled now, and I sit on the porch, the afternoon sun warming my hands as I hold a chipped mug from my father's old set. It's a small thing, but it reminds me of her insistence on planning every detail. Holiday dinners, savings for rainy days, even the exact way to fold napkins. I inherited that need for control, believing that if I tried hard enough, life would bend to my will. But last year, when my carefully laid plans to move to a smaller home fell apart over a paperwork glitch, I felt the ground slip beneath me. Yet the Dharma taught me a quiet truth. Control is an illusion. Buddhism shows us that life flows like a river, and no matter how tightly we grip the banks, we can't stop its current. At 70, I'm learning to let go, finding freedom in trusting the moment. For those of us in our later years, the urge to control can feel like armor against time's unpredictability. We plan our days, doctor's visits, budgets, grandkids' visits, hoping structure will ward off chaos. I once thought a perfect plan meant a perfect life. But when my move fell through, I lost sleep wondering what I'd done wrong. Buddhism offers a gentler path. Nothing is truly certain, and that's not a flaw, but a truth. There's a story I love about a king who demanded his advisors explain life's unpredictability. One blamed luck, another past choices, but the third led him to a river and asked him to stop its flow with his hands. The water slipped through, unyielding. Life is the river, the advisor said. You can't hold it, only move with it. Yes, that story hit me hard. How much energy had I wasted trying to halt life's flow? This lesson feels urgent for older adults, when so much lies beyond our grasp. Youth, strength, the world we once knew. I think of my friend Clara, who planned a dream trip to Italy, only to cancel it when her hip surgery was scheduled. She was heartbroken. But instead of wrestling with the change, she started hosting Italian cooking nights at her apartment, filling her home with laughter and new friends. The Dharma's practice of Wu Wei, effortless action, lights the way here. It's not about doing nothing but acting in harmony with life, like a dancer moving with the music rather than against it. When my move fell apart, I stopped forcing solutions and followed a friend's advice to visit a nearby botanical garden. Wandering those paths, I found a peace I hadn't expected. And later, a better home came to me, one I'd never have found if I'd kept pushing. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting we're capable of meeting what comes. I look back at moments when life veered off course, when my daughter chose a job far away, or when a storm flooded my basement, and see how they led to unexpected gifts. Her choice taught me to cherish our phone calls. The flood brought neighbors together, sharing tools and stories. For every reader, feeling life's uncertainty, maybe a plan fell through, or the future looks hazy. This Buddhist wisdom offers relief. We don't need to know every step. Asking, "Can I meet this moment as it is?" has become my anchor, soothing fears about what's next. Our 60s, 70s, and beyond bring changes we can't foresee, but they also bring the resilience we've built over decades, ready to carry us through. As the sun dips lower, I set the mug down. Its familiar weight, a reminder that some things endure, even without my grip. The Dharma shows us that peace doesn't come from controlling life, but from living it, fully, bravely, now. For those of us navigating aging's turns, new limits, quiet homes, shifting dreams, this truth is a gift. Clara's cooking nights, my garden walks, the home we found, they're not accidents, but proof that when we release the need to steer, life guides us to where we belong. Buddhism invites us to trust our strength, to flow with the river's bend. I'm not perfect at it, but each step feels lighter, as if the current itself is whispering, "You're on the right path. Keep going." Serenity in the unexpected. The sun has sunk below the horizon now, and I linger on the porch, the evening air alive with the hum of crickets. A sudden breeze sweeps through, carrying the scent of rain, and I feel a twinge of unease. Will a storm come, disrupting my plans for tomorrow's walk? Life has a way of catching us off guard like that, doesn't it? Just when we think we've found our footing, something shifts. A call from the doctor, a friend's departure, a plan gone awry. At 70, I've spent too many nights wrestling with uncertainty, trying to pin it down like a map I could master. But the Dharma offers a gentler truth. Peace doesn't come from banishing the unknown, but from learning to dance with it. Buddhism teaches that serenity lies not in controlling life's surprises, but in embracing them with an open heart. For those of us in our later years, uncertainty can feel like a shadow trailing us. New aches, changing roles, quiet questions about what's next. I recall the autumn my grandson announced he was moving abroad for work. I'd planned cozy weekends together, picturing board games and his laughter filling the house. Instead, I faced missing him for months, my heart heavy with what I couldn't change. We're taught to seek security, stable finances, predictable days. But life, like this night's breeze, moves as it will. The Buddha's wisdom shifts our instinct. We can't stop the winds of change, but we can learn to sail them. There's a story I treasure about a monk living atop a mountain, warned by a villager of an approaching storm. "If it comes, I'll welcome it," the monk said calmly, unafraid of what might be. That courage to accept what comes is like a beacon for us all. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything's fine. It's about trusting we're stronger than we know. When my grandson left, I could have clung to disappointment. But instead, I started writing him letters, sharing stories of my childhood. Those pages became a bridge, keeping us close across miles, and I found joy in the act itself. Buddhism reminds us that surprises often hide gifts. For older adults, life's upheavals, a canceled trip, a sudden loneliness, a body that won't cooperate, can feel like dead ends. But what if they're openings? I think of my neighbor Ruth, who lost her bookstore job at 75 when it closed. Devastated, she thought her working days were over. But a chance conversation led her to tutor kids at the library, where her love of stories found new life. The Dharma whispers, what feels like loss might be clearing space for something brighter. I've started asking myself questions that steady me when uncertainty looms. Have I faced surprises before and come through? Can I let go of needing all the answers now? That autumn with my grandson taught me I have. I've survived every twist life's thrown, from job losses to goodbyes, and each has made me wiser. For every reader feeling unsteady, maybe a diagnosis looms or a dream's delayed, these questions are a lifeline. The Dharma doesn't promise a storm-free life, but it offers tools to navigate it. Ruth's tutoring, my letters, the monk's calm. They show that peace comes from living the questions, not forcing answers. Our 60s, 70s, and beyond bring waves we can't predict. But they also bring the resilience honed over decades, ready to carry us forward. As the crickets grow louder, I breathe in the rain-scented air, no longer bracing for what it might bring. The Dharma has shown me that uncertainty isn't a threat. It's life, brimming with possibility. For those of us aging in a world that's always shifting, this Buddhist truth is a gift. We don't need to know tomorrow to live fully today. My grandson's letters, Ruth's new purpose, my own quiet evenings, they are proof that when we stop fighting the wind, we find freedom. Serenity isn't having all the answers. It's trusting we'll meet whatever comes with grace. I'm still learning, but tonight, with the sky wide open, I feel ready to greet the next surprise, whatever it may be. The path to awakening evening has settled in, and I've moved inside, sinking into my favorite chair with a quilt draped over my knees. The cricket's hum drifts through the window, a reminder of life's constant buzz, even in stillness. Tonight, I'm reflecting on the moments that have shaped me. Not the easy ones, but the hard ones. The winter I lost my brother. The summer I doubted I'd find purpose again. The quiet evenings when aging felt like a burden. Each could have broken me, but instead, they led me here, to a truth the Dharma reveals. Every challenge, every tear, Every unexpected turn is a step on the path to awakening. Buddhism teaches that enlightenment isn't a distant peak. It's within us, unfolding slowly. And every moment, no matter how heavy, invites us to see life clearly, without fear. For those of us in our later years, life can feel like a puzzle with pieces that don't fit. Health faltering, dreams left behind, time slipping too fast. I used to ask, why is this happening to me? When my brother passed, his laughter gone from our family table, the pain seemed senseless, but the Dharma shifted the question. What can I learn from this? That loss taught me to cherish small moments, a neighbor's wave, a warm meal, more deeply than ever. Buddhism says awakening isn't a sudden flash, but a gentle unraveling, where each hardship becomes a teacher. At 70, I see it now. My greatest growth didn't come from calm waters but from storms. When I rebuilt after doubts, when I found joy despite sorrow. For older adults, this is a quiet power. Our struggles aren't failures, but signposts guiding us toward who we're meant to be. I think of my friend Paul, who faced a health scare that shook him. He was always a planner, mapping out years ahead. But that brush with mortality changed him. He started gardening, not for perfect roses, but for the feel of soil under his nails, the peace of being present. The Dharma teaches that every experience, loss, change, even joy, carries a lesson, peeling back layers to reveal our true selves. Paul's garden, my rediscovered gratitude, they are proof. Awakening happens in the ordinary, when we stop resisting life and start listening. For every reader carrying a weight, maybe a child's worry or the heaviness of years, know this: nothing is wasted. The moments challenging you are shaping you, not towards some far-off goal, but towards something deeper now, where you see life's beauty as it is. This path isn't always easy, especially when society tells us aging is decline, not a journey. But Buddhism offers hope. We're not time's victims, but its students. I've learned to pause when life feels heavy, to ask what it's teaching. Maybe patience, maybe courage to let go. That winter without my brother, I joined a grief group, seeking only comfort, but finding stories that bound us together, reminding me I wasn't alone. For those in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, every wrinkle, every ache, every memory is part of this awakening. The Dharma assures us you're not lost, even when the path twists. Each step, even the painful ones, brings you home, to the clarity that's always been yours, waiting to shine. As I fold the quilt and rise, I feel a warmth, not just from the fabric, but from this journey through the Dharma's lessons. If you're reading this and feeling life's unease, I urge you to trust. Every moment has purpose, crafting you into someone wiser, braver, more alive. Join me in this discovery. Share a lesson you've learned, a moment that woke you up. Maybe it's a story of loss leading to love, or a challenge showing your strength. Your voice might light another's path, as others have lit mine. At 70, I'm still a student, but I'm learning to walk with life, not against it. And it feels like a beginning. Here's to the steps ahead, together, toward awakening's quiet light.